The cubs settled only when she touched them. Now the academy summons her before every trial. Elena Vasquez had never planned to become famous across 12 star systems. She was just a maintenance worker on the Karathi space station, fixing broken pipes and cleaning filters in the lower decks where nobody important ever walked. She was human, one of the few on the station, and most aliens barely noticed her existence. Humans were new to the galactic community. They had only been traveling among the stars for about 40 years. Most species saw them as loud, emotional, and far too soft for the harsh realities of space. The Karathi were tall, insect-like beings with hard shells and multiple limbs. They built the station and ran everything on it. They were logical and cold, never showing emotion, never understanding why humans smiled or cried or laughed. To them, feelings were weaknesses that needed to be controlled. The other species on the station shared similar views. The Veltari were silent reptilian creatures who communicated through color changes on their scales. The Drenok were massive bear-like beings covered in thick fur, known for their strength and their complete lack of patience. Elena kept to herself. She did her work, ate her meals alone, and slept in her small room near the engine section. She never caused trouble. She never expected anything from the galaxy except the credits she earned each month. Everything changed on a quiet morning in the medical wing. Elena had been called to fix a water leak near the nursery section. The Karathi kept their young ones there, small creatures that looked like pale versions of their parents. These cubs were fragile and required special care during their first 2 years of life. Nobody except trained caretakers were allowed near them. But the leak was bad, and water was spreading toward the incubation chambers. When Elena arrived, she found chaos. 3 cubs had escaped from their sleeping pods. They were running around the room, making high-pitched sounds that hurt her ears. The caretakers, 2 Karathi nurses, were trying to catch them without success. The cubs moved fast, bouncing off walls and hiding under equipment. Their shells had not fully hardened yet, and every bump could cause serious injury. One of the nurses saw Elena and ordered her to leave immediately. Humans were not supposed to be near the cubs. Their strange energy and loud voices could frighten the young ones even more. But Elena saw something the nurses did not notice. One of the cubs had crawled under a heavy cabinet and was stuck. It was making a sound like crying, though Karathi were not supposed to cry. Its small body shook with fear. Without thinking, Elena got down on her knees. She reached under the cabinet slowly, carefully. The nurses shouted at her to stop, but she did not listen. Her hand found the small creature, trembling in the darkness. She touched its shell gently, and something strange happened. The cub stopped shaking. Elena pulled it out slowly, cradling it against her chest. The cub looked up at her with its many eyes, and instead of screaming or fighting, it settled against her warmth. Its body relaxed completely. It made a soft sound, almost like a purr. The nurses stood frozen. They had never seen anything like this before. Karathi cubs did not calm down easily. They required specific sounds, specific temperatures, and specific chemical signals to feel safe. Yet this human woman had done something none of them could do. She had simply touched the cub, and it had stopped being afraid. Elena did not understand why. She only knew that the little creature needed comfort, and she had given it. The other 2 cubs had stopped running. They watched Elena from across the room, and then slowly, carefully, they walked toward her. She sat down on the floor, still holding the first cub, and let the others approach. When they reached her, she touched them too. Her fingers brushed against their soft shells, and they settled immediately. All 3 cubs fell asleep in her lap within minutes. The head nurse recorded everything and sent a report to the station commander. Within hours, scientists arrived to study what had happened. They scanned Elena's body, tested her skin, analyzed her heartbeat. They found something they had never expected. Humans produced a unique combination of warmth, vibration, and chemical signals when they touched other living beings. This combination triggered deep calming responses in most species, including the Karathi. The scientists called it a nurturing frequency. It was something humans did naturally, something connected to their evolution as social creatures who raised their young through physical contact and emotional bonding. Other species had lost this ability long ago. They had evolved toward logic, efficiency, and independence. Their young learned to survive on their own quickly, but humans still carried this ancient gift in their bodies. When Elena touched the cubs, she gave them something they desperately needed but had never received before. News of the discovery spread quickly through the galactic networks. Within weeks, researchers from other species came to study Elena. They brought their own young ones, cubs and hatchlings and larvae from dozens of different worlds. Every single one responded to her touch the same way. They calmed down. They stopped crying. They felt safe. The Galactic Academy of Sciences took notice. This institution trained the best minds from every species. Their trials and examinations were famous for being extremely difficult. Students faced problems that tested not just their intelligence, but their emotional strength. Many broke down during these tests. Many failed because they could not control their fear. The Academy decided to try something new. They invited Elena to sit with students before their trials. She would simply be there, in the waiting room, offering her presence and her touch to anyone who needed it. The results shocked everyone. Students who spent time with Elena before their examinations performed better. Their stress levels dropped. Their focus improved. Species that normally struggled with anxiety found themselves calm and ready. Even the Drenok, those massive bear-like beings known for their aggression, sat quietly beside her and let her stroke their fur. The Academy made it official. Elena Vasquez was now required to attend every major trial. She was given quarters in the Academy building, a salary that made her old maintenance pay look like pocket change, and a title that had never existed before. She was called the Calmer, the one who soothed frightened minds before they faced their greatest challenges. Some species resented her at first. They saw her role as proof of weakness, evidence that other beings needed a human to help them function. But over time, even the proudest among them came to understand something important. Elena was not just calming bodies, she was healing something deeper. The galaxy had grown cold over thousands of years. Species had focused so much on strength and logic that they had forgotten the value of gentleness. They had forgotten what it meant to be held, to be touched with kindness, to feel safe simply because someone cared. Humans had kept that knowledge alive. They had never evolved past their need for connection. And now, through Elena, the galaxy was remembering. Young scientists came to her not just before trials, but whenever they felt lost or afraid. Warriors who had seen terrible battles sat beside her and found peace for the first time in years. Even the Karathi, those cold, logical beings who had once dismissed humans as emotional weaklings, began to understand why human ships always traveled in groups, why human soldiers held each other after battles, why human parents never stopped touching their children. Connection was not weakness. It was the oldest form of strength. Elena never claimed to be special. She told everyone who asked that any human could do what she did. The warmth, the vibration, the chemical signals, these were gifts every human carried. They just needed to share them. The Academy eventually opened a new department. They trained humans to work as counselors and companions throughout the galaxy. Ships carrying human crew members reported fewer conflicts. Stations with human residents saw improved mental health among all species. Slowly, carefully, humanity found its place among the stars. Not as warriors, not as scientists, not as rulers, as healers. Elena Vasquez worked at the Academy for 32 years. She calmed thousands of students, touched millions of lives, and changed the way the galaxy understood the value of kindness. When she finally retired, the Academy built a statue in her honor. It showed her sitting on the floor holding 3 small cubs against her chest, her face peaceful and warm. The inscription beneath the statue was simple. She reminded us what we had forgotten. And in the decades that followed, as more humans spread across the galaxy, as more species learned to value connection over coldness, the universe became a slightly gentler place. All because one woman fixed pipes near a nursery and decided to help a frightened child. The end.